The Balearic Sling. With such a famous reputation as the Balearic slingers of ancient times, it comes as no surprise that the sling design that bears their name is extremely functional and well evolved. Its popularity in the Balearics and international slinging community makes it an icon of the sport. However, some confusion around this design persists. In this video, we are going to take a look into the details and origin of this type of sling, as well as the elements that make it such a successful design, both in history all the way up to the current day. So here it is, the typical design used by modern Balearic slingers, notably in the regular target competitions held in the islands. It's most commonly made from loose fibre of either peter, sisal or esparto. However, numerous other materials are also used. It starts with a flat braid of 3, 5 or 7 strands, which then fold and merge, creating a loop to go over the index or middle finger. The continuing braid, commonly called the retention cord, generally maintains the same thickness about its length. The braid then forms what is called the knee, as it splits to form the beginning of the pouch. Material is then added until each half of the split is equal, or a little more in thickness, to the retention cord. They then merge back together to form what is called the belly, which marks the beginning of the release cord. Material is then removed to reduce the thickness of the braid back to that of the retention cord. It then progresses with a steady taper until the thickness of the cord is roughly akin to that which forms the finger loop. The braid then terminates in a tassel. Simply the cord is gripped, without a knot, contrary to a lot of slings made nowadays. While there aren't any surviving examples of Balearic or Iberian slings from the ancient world, there are a few written sources that give us some insight, as well as some later artwork depicting slings from this region, helping disprove suggestions that the design is a more modern evolution.
Yeah!
Virgil, the Roman poet, wrote, "Winter is the time to strike down does by twisting the flaxen thongs of the Balearic sling." Indeed, this could be referring to a flat braid like we're familiar with, since twisting plays an integral role in locking the fibres together. There is also no suggestion of weaving or other such method. Flaxen implies that the slings were made of linen, or a material that resembled this fibre. Strabo, recounting the Iberian slingers, wrote, "And with 3 slings worn around the head of black tufted rush, hair or sinews." Black tufted rush being esparto, other translations imply that the hair and sinew were a part of the construction rather than used separately. This makes a lot of sense, since esparto is a great material for the main body of a sling, but not for the tassel or any stitching. It is necessary to implement other material for these roles, like hair or sinew. While no longer directly pertinent to the slings of the ancient world, this painting of David and Goliath from Spain around 1440 depicts a sling recognisably similar in design to modern Balearic slings, with its plaited cords, split pouch, and tassel. It is thus possible that this design is indeed much older, perhaps ancient in origin. Here is another example. This is the statue of David by Bernini in 1623, and again, the sling depicted is strikingly similar to the Balearic design, as we would call it today, proving that it is not simply a modern evolution. However, it is quite possible that the Balearic design actually originates from the Iberian Peninsula, and that the famous Balearic slingers from ancient times used a different design entirely, which was then later supplanted and lost to history. So what makes it such a great design? First of all, its simplicity. The material for its construction only requires minimal processing, not requiring the fibre to be made into string, nor any external equipment needed to create it. This makes it comparatively fast and cheap to make, starting with the raw materials. Next is its functionality. Numerous elements contribute to this. First of all, the thick, flat-braided retention cord makes it quick and easy to handle in preparing the next shot without any twists in the cords. After that is the flat-braided split pouch, which accommodates a large variety of projectile sizes and shapes, while still maintaining a good release with all of them. The reason that this portion of the sling is thicker is because it's where the stone abrasively rolls upon release. This makes it very hard wearing even with jagged stones. As a further countermeasure, it is common for leather to be sewn onto the pouch and some of the release cord. This increases durability, but also helps prevent any slipping of the projectile. Naturally, then, the added material has to be removed in order to lighten the release cord, resulting in a negative taper. This makes the release cord lighter and, in effect, makes it behave like a whip. The tassel on the end serves the purpose of dissipating this energy, preventing the sling from whipping around violently after release, as well as preventing an uncomfortable tug on the finger as it does. As a result, the sling makes a distinctive sonic crack. Since the cord is gripped without the presence of a knot, it has a sensitive release. This assists accurate shooting, whether lightly lobbing or slinging with a bit more gusto. Thus, in summary, these combined elements not only create a sling that is extremely pleasant to use, but also a sling that is very capable in delivering a projectile to the intended target. Its simplicity and effectiveness giving it the legendary reputation it deserves, both in modern competitions and the days of old. The next two videos in this series will be on how to make one from raw materials, and after, a guide on how to use it, so stay tuned.